Welcome back. Turmoil in the Middle East has put renewed attention on access to natural gas exports. Here's a look at LNG in Canada by the numbers. Canada exported 8.8 billion cubic feet of natural gas in 2024, with virtually all of that going via pipeline to the U.S. 47.8 of our total production was shipped there. The rest was consumed domestically. But in 2025, the world opened up with LNG Canada coming on stream, a new export gas facility in Kitimat, BC. Canada has vast natural gas resources at 44 trillion cubic meters at the current rate of production of 310 million cubic meters a day. It's a 300-year supply, with well flow rates in the shale basins among the most productive in the world. West Coast LNG put Canadian gas 10 shipping days from major markets in Asia. Meanwhile, proposed East Coast sites are 6 to 8 shipping days from Europe. Along with LNG Canada, projects under construction include wood fiber LNG and cedar LNG, as well as Silesums and Tilbury. Natural gas is sometimes considered more climate friendly, but LNG is carbon intensive. It takes a lot of energy to cool the gas. One estimate is that LNG Canada will emit 2.1 megatons of CO2 a year. That's equivalent to 450,000 cars. And while some LNG terminals promise to be net zero, that represents just 10% of the life cycle emissions of LNG. Canada's LNG could certainly find itself in high demand in the years ahead. So are we on track to deliver? Shannon Joseph is chair of Energy for a Secure Future. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
So it does feel as though the moment is right for Canada. I guess and I hate to Monday morning quarterback, Shannon, but we could have done better. We could have more terminals. We could have more pipelines. But are we well positioned right now?
Sure, one can always do better, but I think we're at a moment now where the world is very interested in Canada. They're interested in diversity of suppliers and having diversity and resilience to conflict. And Canada looks very attractive. And so the time's now to build the infrastructure we need to really grow our production and our support to the world on energy.
And obviously there's the Major Projects Office. There's a renewed push for new pipelines. Does it feel as though we can get additional capacity on stream as quickly as the demand is there?
Well, that remains to be seen, but I think we are on a good track. Lots of great signals are pointing to us getting FID for LNG Canada Phase 2 this year, so let's hope that all comes together. We are still ramping up LNG Canada Phase 1's export. And there's lots of new conversations in Canada about, getting Silesums LNG going and getting it to FID, getting some maybe East Coast action. So because this is not going to be a short-term blip of interest, because that interest in long-term supplier diversity is going to be steady, I think Canada needs to enhance what we ship through the United States so that we can contribute quickly that way, and then we build out as soon and consistently as we can from our own coasts.
Yeah, it's an interesting point, right? Because we've been obviously an enormously important supplier continentally. We now have this alternative thanks to LNG Canada and other terminals that will come online. Does that give us additional leverage with the partner to the south on maybe other things? We're in the middle of course, pending trade negotiations. Will that help us?
Well, just this morning I was hearing a presentation from the CEO of Cheniere, which is a company that helps ship a lot of Canadian gas to the world today. And they want to continue working with all their suppliers, including their Canadian suppliers, to keep meeting that demand. The demand is growing, and with the conflict is even more significant because of how much Asia's gas and gas supplies have been impacted by the conflict in the Strait of Hormuz.
There are these concerns that get raised about our climate goals and LNG. Do you think they're valid?
I think we have to have policy coherence in the way we are going to pursue our goals. I think in terms of our resource, as you said in your lead up, the Montney has some of the most environmentally efficient production in the world. You don't need to build a lot of stuff. The wells are very efficient. It just reduces a lot of the things you have to do that could impact environmentally. So that's an advantage we have. We're this cold climate, so we're lower emission to cool the gas and export it than Louisiana, for example. So, and our facilities were built with Canadian climate policies in mind. I think now what the world's expecting is that we don't continue to ramp up and change our methane regulations and keep raising our carbon prices and doing other things that make us less attractive to investment. We have a strong environmental policy framework. Our producers and our companies have built around that. Now we need to show that we're going to be reliable and that we can deliver in this time.
So good to have you, Shannon. Really appreciate your input here.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Shannon Joseph is chair of Energy for a Secure Future.